All right, so we talked about luck a little bit, and of course, some expressions with luck. Sometimes, hey, you know, you should thank your lucky star. You have a lucky star, right? You should thank your lucky star when something happened, because you have a lucky star. And of course, stroke of luck we have. That was a stroke of luck. Winning or losing streak. Sometimes you're on a winning streak or a losing streak, you know? Winning or losing streak. Maybe like a 3-week winning streak, or like a 3-week winning streak, or a 3-week losing streak. It means for 3 weeks in a row. Have you heard this? 3 weeks in a row, or 3 consecutive weeks for 3 consecutive weeks. 3 consecutive weeks, or 3 weeks in a row. I want you to learn consecutive. Consecutive. 3 consecutive weeks. What does that mean, consecutive?
One.
Yeah, one after another, right? One after another. Just one after another. One after another. Consecutive. It had rained for 4 consecutive days. For the third, can they win the title for the third consecutive season? For the third consecutive season, can they win the title? Win the title for the third consecutive season. So consecutive is very important. Consecutive. 3 consecutive weeks. It's been raining for 3 consecutive. It's been raining nonstop. To rain nonstop, huh? To rain non-stop.
Rain periodically. Right there.
Periodically, that's different. It's completely different. So when it's periodical, it's like one period you have it, one period you don't have it. It's like episodic, so you have it. But if something happens consecutively for 3 consecutive years, Spain has lost big time in Europe. So like 3 years in a row, for 2 weeks in a row, it rained for 2 weeks in a row. So in a row, or it means for 2 consecutive weeks. Consecutive. I want you to learn and remember the word consecutive. The word consecutive is very important. So for 2 consecutive weeks, for 3 consecutive weeks, 3 weeks in a row, he called every day at 5 o'clock for 3 consecutive weeks. And then he disappeared. He called me 5 times a day, every day, for 5 consecutive weeks, and then vanished. So if you win for 3 consecutive weeks or 3 consecutive seasons, you have a 3-week, 3-season winning streak. It could be a winning streak. It could be a losing streak. Losing streak or winning streak. If you win on a winning streak, sometimes you're on a winning streak and you're lucky and you love it, and you keep on playing and winning. Okay, now a few words about luck, because luck is an opportunity. Then we'll move on. So, lucky, we talked about it, and unlucky would be the opposite, right? We have opportunity knocks but once. We have misfortunes never come alone. Opportunity knocks but once. It's an old saying. An old saying or proverb. Opportunity knocks but once. And when it knocks, you should seize the opportunity, right? You should grab the moment. Because opportunity knocks but once. So, sometimes you say, hey, I'm very unlucky. Something happens and you say, oh, that was very unfortunate. That was very unfortunate. Unfortunate. And we have unfortunately. Fortunate or unfortunate? That was very unfortunate. Yeah. Fortunately, unfortunately. Something happens and it's very unfortunate, right? Now we talked about, so some people believe in luck, and you say that that was just luck or that was a fluke. You know, fluke also means luck. If you say he won by a fluke, oh sorry, why fly? Fluke. By fluke means by luck. Now, on the other side of success, the other side of success is? Success is the opposite of? What? Okay, and what is the noun for fail?
Failure.
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 Yes? So on the one hand we have success. On the other hand we have failure. Failure is the noun, right? Failure. What's the verb?
Fail.
To fail. We have to fail, simply. To fail to do something. And we have to fail someone. So, I tried hard, but I failed. If a company or business fails, it goes bankrupt. It doesn't succeed. He tried hard, but he failed. We also, to fail a test, to fail, and also we have to fail a test. Also, you can say the teacher failed me. He failed me. He failed me. Now, this he failed me, by this to fail someone, they're different. You failed us, you failed our people. A politician who fails his own people. That failing is like to betray. sorry, I failed you. A man who fails his family. I failed you. This, I failed you. I'm sorry, I couldn't make it for you. I couldn't manage. I couldn't succeed. And I failed you guys. I couldn't make it. A soldier who fails his country. Stops fighting and doesn't fight and gives up and runs away.
Disappointed. I disappoint you.
Soldier.
I mean,
I don't understand you. Speak louder, please.
I disappoint you. Is this a
Disappoint you. Yes. To some extent.
to some extent?
I'm looking for this just to tell you what it says here. When somebody trusts you, you fail someone, you don't do what they trusted you to do. I feel I failed my children by not spending more time with them. I failed my wife, my children, my country, my people. As a king, you can fail your people. Or queen. Or as a major, as a president. Have you seen politicians who come and after people know that they had extramarital sex or affairs, they say, I failed my family, and I failed you, and I'm sorry. So this I failed you and I failed my family, that is you trusted me and I failed you. That's a different thing. When a teacher fails a student, that's a different thing.
Yes. Do expel? No. The test?
If a teacher fails a student, it's like F, go home. Repeat the test.
You need to resit.
When you fail a test, you don't pass the test, right? We have pass, fail. So if a teacher, he failed me. So usually we don't say, I failed. We say, he failed me. The teacher, he failed me. Students never say, I failed.
No.
No.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Never.
You guys are good students.
Never.
Never. But to fail to do something, that's another thing, another issue. I failed to do my homework. I failed to submit my assignment on time. I failed to submit my assignment on time. When you fail to do something, you don't do something that you're supposed to do. Oh, I failed to call John. I was supposed to call him, I didn't call him. I failed to call him.
It's like forget.
It's like you don't do something that you're supposed to do. For example, the letter failed to arrive means never arrived. Firms that fail to take advantage of the new technology will go out of business. The governments are failing in their duty to protect whatever. To fail to do something. Doctors failed to save the girl's life. The doctor failed to save the girl's life. The doctor was supposed to save the girl's life but failed to do it. I failed to send an email to my boss. Oh my God, I was supposed to do it. I failed to do this. So when you fail to do something, so that's failure.
Failure.
To fail someone, to fail.
Failure.
I fail to see why. I fail to see, it's a good expression, I want you to learn it. I fail to see, or I fail to understand why. I fail to see why you couldn't do it. I fail to see why you get here late every single day. I really fail to see why this is happening. If you say, I fail to see or I fail to understand, means I don't understand. It's a good way of saying it. It's a more formal way of saying it. I fail to understand why. My grandson never fails to phone me on my birthday. That's a good one. I fail to see why you find it so amusing. I fell, and you're laughing, ah! I fail to see why you found it so amusing. He never fails to surprise me on my birthdays. Okay, so this is with fail. But we're now speaking about failure.
Failure. Failure.
So we have success and to succeed, and we have failure.
Failure. Failure. I'm just practicing.
So they say when you lose, don't lose the lesson. Learn from your mistakes. Yeah? If you don't succeed at first, what do they say? Try again. Don't give up. Never, I've said this before, retreat. Never surrender, no surrender, no retreat. Never surrender. No surrender, no retreat. Never surrender, never retreat. Retreat means withdrawal, right? Don't give up. Never surrender, never retreat. No surrender, no retreat. So when you lose, don't lose the lesson. Learn from your mistakes. If you don't succeed at first or once, if you don't succeed once or if you don't succeed at first, try again. Don't quit. So these are the things they say. Now, the next beautiful word is illicit, and we had the word forbid. So the word illicit he tried to elicit some information from me. He tried to elicit some information from me, but I kept quiet. He tried to elicit some information from me, but I kept quiet. When you elicit, usually, what do I do? Usually when I want to teach, I ask you questions, right? I want to know what you know, so I try to elicit the answers from you. to get it from you. Yeah? This action is called elicitation. He tried to elicit some responses from his audience. When her knock elicits no response, to elicit response. The test uses pictures to elicit words from the child. Elicit something from someone. Forbid, we've had the word forbid, so we don't need it anymore. Petition. What's a petition? The neighbors signed a petition to kick out Hobby.
My roommate.
To sign
Obsessed with her.
a petition. When you sign a petition, neighbors get together and sign something. Okay, this neighbor is making a lot of noise. Or this factory should move out of this neighborhood. Let's sign a petition. It's like to sign a request. Like a request. But this petition is usually formal. And when you sign a petition, so petition here is a noun, and also as a verb, to petition someone, to request someone to do something, petition. So, people petitioned their representative, they petitioned their representative in Congress to what? To act on their behalf and build a bridge, for example. To petition someone to do something. Canada petitioned the United States to consider its case. We in this neighborhood, we would petition the City Hall to consider the case of traffic here. You ask someone to do something. But to sign a petition is good. People sign a petition. And to petition itself. So petition is both noun and verb, right? So as a petition, a petition against a new road. Petition for or against. Local residents have drawn up a petition, to sign a petition, to protest the hospital closure. She is threatening to file a petition for divorce. So that petition as verb, petition somebody to do something. Villagers petition the local authority to provide better bus service. Residents are petitioning against the new road. Petition for divorce. So, residents petitioned the local authorities, remember local authorities? We talked about it, the people in charge, to provide better bus service. They petitioned residents petitioned the local authorities to provide better bus service. Residents petitioned the local authorities to provide better bus service. This basically means requested, asked. It's like asked, requested. So to sign a petition, to draw up a petition. People petitioned for help. Next word. Relinquish. To relinquish, it's a good word. What is relinquish? Does anyone know?
Abdicate.
Abdicate, very good. And
To lose the control. To give up control. Like,
to relinquish.
I've never heard about this word.
Mayor Bob Ford, or Rob Ford,
relinquish.
refused to relinquish power or his post. Relinquish. To give up. Abandon. To abdicate. Canada's mayor, do you remember about a year ago there were a lot of controversies surrounding his crack cocaine case and like pot case and all that, marijuana or I don't know, whatever it was, that he lied to the people once. And there were a lot of people calling for his resignation. They wanted him to resign. To resign. And resignation. But did he resign, Tui? No. He refused to resign. Basically, he refused to resign. So, I also want you to learn this and put this on the tip of your tongue, to refuse to do something.
To refuse.
To refuse to do something. That is to refuse to do something. He refused to accept. He refused to accept. He refused to admit. He refused to accept or admit that he had committed the crime. He refused to admit that he had committed the crime. Yes, Kay? Kay and Ray. How about Jay? Is that a Japanese name also? Jay? No? He refused to accept his fate and changed it. He refused to admit that he had committed the crime. Bob Ford refused to resign. Refused to relinquish his power, his post. Relinquish power. To give up. But relinquish is used with relinquish power or something like that. Relinquish. So, the troubled executive relinquished his control of the company. So the word relinquish is a good word. No one wants to relinquish power once they have it. To relinquish, Schultz relinquished control to his subordinate. So, with relinquish, remember control and power. Control, power, especially these two words. If you want to remember a collocation with relinquish, he refused to relinquish power, or he relinquished power, or he relinquished control of the company, or he didn't, he refused to relinquish the control of the company. To give up. Yeah. Bless you. Resilient. What is resilient? And resilience.
Certain.
Resilient, resilience.
Resilient.
This is also one of those things, we talked about success.
Resilient.
Resilience is also one of the factors for success.
Resilient.
If you are strong and flexible, you're resilient. That is, you're resistant, flexibly resilient. Flexible and resistant. If you're flexible and resistant, you are resilient.
Resilient is on resilient house. Shelter.
So resilient, you must be, if you're resilient, that is, you are resistant and you're strong and flexible. So some shoes, they have resilient soles. You know, the shoe is like this, Anything you do, it's okay. It doesn't break. It's not fragile. It's resilient. If you're resilient, no matter what happens in life, how hard, you get back on your feet. No matter what happens, no matter what happens, John always gets back on his feet. He regains his composure. He regains his composure. He is very resilient. You know, resistance. Flexible, flexibly resistant and strong. Resilient. Children are very resilient. Diseases and things that happen to them, they get back. So resilience is another factor, contributing factor to success. Correct? Yep. I think so. It contributes to success. Resilience. Resilience is also key. She has a resilient personality and will soon feel better. She's very resilient. She's very strong and resistant. So, yeah. The doctor was surprised by his patient's resilience. The doctor was surprised by his patient's resilience. A resilient patient means strong. Because there's a lot of treatment. If you're strong, your body can tolerate all the treatment and all that. So, doctor was surprised by it. And of course, the last such word for today would be tempt. What is tempt? A very good word. That piece of cake is very tempting piece of cake. Huh? Tempting. I was tempted to eat it, but I resisted.
I can't resist.
That chocolate cake is very tempting. I was tempted to eat it, but I controlled myself, huh? Control myself. I resisted. Sometimes it's very tempting. You can't resist it. I couldn't help eating that tempting cake. I couldn't help eating it.
Irresistible.
Thank you.
Irresistible.
Irresistible. Remember, resistible, irresistible. It's very tempting and irresistible. And of course, temptation. So to tempt, tempting, and temptation. To give in to temptations. Do you have a strong willpower, or do you easily give in to temptations? Do you give in to temptations easily? Easily give in. When you give in, what is it? You surrender, right? Do you surrender to your temptations easily? Not easily? Are you sure? Avi, how about you? I never resist the temptations.
I guess it's
That's my motto in life. Motto. No. You know motto? Never resist good temptations. If something is tempting, if it's a piece of chocolate cake, eat it. Yeah. If a cute guy is very tempting.
no, guys, never tempting.
Then something's wrong with you.
Cute, but it's not tempting. Tempting is for food.
No.
Yeah.
If you're never tempted to kiss a guy, something's definitely wrong with you.
Tempted to kiss?
Definitely wrong.
Yeah.
100%. Take it from me.
No, it's not like that. You misunderstand.
Yeah. So tempting, a tempting piece of cake. Yeah.
You can say I couldn't tend to call her.
You couldn't resist the temptation to call her.
Yeah. Okay.
I was tempted to call her, but I really kept myself from doing it. When you keep yourself, I resisted. I kept myself from calling her. I was alone, and it was so hard to resist. I was tempted to call her. I picked up the phone 10 times, tried to push the numbers, but then I resisted again. I controlled myself.
It was so difficult to resist.
It's so hard to resist, right? Something would be so hard to. Some things are hard to resist. Some things are irresistible. This is a very good Or, I'm sure there was a song. You're irresistible. That's what you are to me. Well, irresistible.
Irresistible.
Yeah. If something is irresistible, you should have. If you are determined, if you have a strong willpower, you know willpower. If you're strong-willed, because we have willpower. What is willpower? If you have a strong will, or a strong willpower, it means you're not like me. You don't easily give in to temptations. Because you have a strong willpower. You can resist the temptations and the whims. To stand up to resist the whims. Whims are short-lived passions. Short-lived passions.
Yes.
You have an opportunity to cheat, and the person is very tempting, but if you can resist it, the whims of your body, or soul, or whatever, yeah, these whims are the things that you want to do, but you don't do it. So if you don't do it, whims, huh? Whims. See?
I have short.
Wait, let me give you some examples.
I don't have a strong will. Unfortunately.
So a sudden feeling that you would like to do or have something, especially when there's no important reason. It's just a whim.
Just.
At work, they are at the whim of the boss, means whatever he says. Their father had always indulged her every whim. He appeared and disappeared at whim. So your whims as noun, also like to go here, so say whim, W-H-I-M. A sudden desire. She bought it on a whim. So you buy something on a whim, it's just a whim. It means a sudden feeling that I like this, or I want to do this. These are whims. Sometimes whims start a fling. Fling? Say, the guy says, that was just a fling. Just a fling? What is just a fling? Just a fling. It's just a fling. If you, usually men, when they are in serious relationships outside marriage, and when the wife finds out, they says, oh, that was just a fling. It was just a fling. Just a fling means like just a short-lived, temporary something. It was just a fling, nothing serious.
That's an excuse. Yeah.
That was just a fling. Just a fling, huh? The whim. So, you should not give in to your temptations. Don't give in to your temptations. Have you watched the movie Temptations of Christ? Something like that. It's a famous movie, Temptations of Christ. So that piece of cake is very tempting. She looks very tempting.
No.
I was tempted, but I resisted. I stood against my temptation. I never do that. But it's good if you guys do it. And there's a high price for resisting or not resisting your temptation. You resist your temptation, you miss an opportunity to do something right or wrong.
But you get another.
You resist it if you keep your integrity. And if you have strong willpower, integrity, huh? Integrity, to maintain one's integrity, motto, I talked about motto. What is your motto in life? It means your slogan, the thing that you believe in. My motto in life is do or die. Do or die. That's my motto in life. M-O-T-T. You know slogan?
Yeah, it's the same.
Commercial slogan. But you don't say my slogan is,
Yeah,
you say my motto is.
Motto.
My motto in life is do or die. The motto of Nike is something like that. But slogan could be commercial, slogan of a company, or people go on the street, down with, that's a slogan, shouting slogans. But that's your motto. What's your motto in life, Kate? Do you have a motto in life?
Be honest.
My motto in life, never miss an opportunity. No. But you should maintain your integrity. So I would, like, as a fatherly piece of advice, as a paternal piece of advice, I would say, maintain your integrity at any cost. So at any cost means it under, have you heard under no circumstances? Under, or you say under the circumstances. Circumstances. You know, the circumstance would be the situation. Circumstance. You say, under the circumstances, I couldn't really resist. Sometimes the circumstance, the situation, is so difficult. You cannot resist. There are 5 beautiful plates of chocolate cake here. And irresistible. So the circumstance is crazy. So, under, you would say, under no circumstance are you allowed to leave the room. So, under no circumstances, right? I couldn't help eating that temptation? No, it was tempting. You can say, I couldn't help eating because it was very tempting. I couldn't help eating is fine. I couldn't help eating that piece of cake. Hobby, I couldn't help eating that cake. It was very tempting. Yes? Yeah?
Yeah.
So under the circumstances, or sometimes say under no circumstances, do we?
Yes.
Under no circumstances are you allowed to arrive 1 minute late as of tomorrow. Kidding. Joking. But under no circumstances, under no case, under no situation, can you do something. So, yeah? And usually if you say under no circumstances and you want to continue, here is the question form. Right? Like, can you? Are you allowed to? Under no circumstances are you allowed to leave the room. It means you cannot do that under any circumstances. You can't do that under any circumstances, any. You can't leave the room under any circumstances. Under any circumstances. Under no circumstances can you or are you allowed to call the police. You go someplace to tell you, you cannot call the police under any circumstances. No matter what happens.
No, I'm not going.
You're a hostage. How could you do anything? Okay. Okay. Okay.